We're just two girls living on the Upper West Side, taking everything in stride. We're the Jewesses, Jewesses, Blonde Edition, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Jewess, the Blonde Edition. My name is Jen. I live in a million different places. We also have...
And I'm Derica, and I am now in Florida.
Ooh, so exciting. And Derica, we have a very special episode. We actually, if you guys can see us, we are recording on video, and then we also have an audio version as well for those listeners that are listening. Our podcast is called Jewess, the Blonde Edition. We talk about love, relationships, pop culture, anything that bothers us, anything we want to talk about, and, you know, we just do our thing. Derica, I'm so happy to see you.
I am so happy to see you. It's been too long.
I know. Derica, come back.
Hey, I'm back. I'm here.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're here. You're here. So we are so excited because we, Derica, have a very special guest. We have a guest that is the CEO, founder, the mastermind behind a very amazing dating platform called ISODATE. Luke, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great. And I just thought for anyone watching the video, they get to see me sat in silence for the first 2 minutes. The audio listeners don't get to see that and to sit me sat there like a school kid waiting to be introduced. So that was great. I loved it.
Luke, we are so excited to have you. We're going to just quickly read over your bio. Your name is Luke Connolly. You hail from the UK, but you live in Toronto. You have a background in all things events and marketing. You worked across Europe and North America and was the PR liaison for the Invictus Games. In 2020, you founded ISODATE to focus on rehumanizing dating, to put the focus back on people rather than profiles. And you are proud to have celebrated 3 engagements through the site in just 11 months. Mazel tov!
Mazel tov!
Happy days. Happy days.
That's amazing. So the and your ISODATE, your brand wants to have users swipe less and date more. And you have 92% of users achieving 1 match or more. And it's fair to say that video works best. Luke, thank you again for joining us. That's so exciting.
Welcome.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies. I've listened to a couple of your other shows and pods, and I think you hit some great topics. So I'm really excited to be here representing ISODATE. And yeah, I think everything you've said is exactly the truth. You know, I'm at that age where, you know, I'm starting to consider something a little bit more serious, or I have been for a number of years. And unfortunately, the women have had other plans. But, you know, you get a little older and you start to assess kind of what's around. And generally speaking, in dating, things have gone in transitional kind of 10-year anniversary things. So the start of the 2000s to 2010, you had the profiles, Match.com, JDate, things like that. Then 2010 to 2020 came along. You had Tinder, Bumble, Grindr, all these options. And then, of course, you had JSwipe and some other Jewish-based options as well. And then now I think you're at a stage where we've become so kind of, you know, automated. We're just sat there swiping and swiping and swiping and going nowhere. Like, I'll throw it out to you very quickly. How long do you think the average online dating swiper spends per week swiping and trying to get messages and trying to actually initiate dates?
8 hours.
You told me before, so I'm gonna recuse myself. Derica,
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know it, but I'm gonna say 8 hours.
So that's not a bad guess. It's 10 hours. So
I would win for The Price is Right.
You would.
You would. You
Ding, ding,
absolutely
ding.
would. And I feel that I should have had a prize.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Here's what you could have. We had a show in the UK called Bullseye growing up. And I'll be very quick with this. And it was this very up north guy, Jim Bowen. And they'd had to throw darts at a board and hit certain prizes. And at the end, they'd always compete for, okay, so I've counted your money and you've won £300, or you can go for the grand prize. And it was always a speedboat. So there's people living in the center of England, nowhere near water.
That's
and they're sort of going, great, I've won a speedboat and I live 4 hours away from the nearest water. So really fun show. But yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. We want things to be a little bit easier, a little bit more, streamlined. We do these events and they generally are under an hour. You get to meet 8 to 10 people in a go, and there's a lot more of a balance in male to female as well. That's another huge issue in the industry of, at the moment, online dating is about a 85 to 15% split to males to females, which is a crazy amount of people.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
85% women?
Yeah, no, I wish. Sorry, you wish. I wish. I definitely wish. No. So Tinder had some statistics a couple of years ago, and Tinder were 9 to 1. So for every 9 men, there was 1 woman. And yeah,
Seriously?
and then I'm telling you, and then from there, your match statistics, so how regular you are to match. You're both beautiful ladies, so I'm sure you do very well. But from a male perspective, men are matching
married,
with about.
But she could try it for fun if she wanted.
She could try, I don't know how they
Just for
respond.
research, just
For research, in the name of research.
Absolutely, yeah. But generally, again, guys are struggling there. It's like 0.1% of my swipe right are matching, whereas a woman's still low at 10%. And then 40% of those people that you message are going to message back. So what you're basically hearing here is constant steps of failure. And that's the problem. It's because we've deconnected, and we look at a profile and we don't stop and think, hey, that is a strong woman who's got her own values and her family and a support system, or that's a guy who maybe likes to go hiking and maybe really has a great relationship with his mother, or really gets on well with his bubby. Like you just don't know these things, and because you don't think, you just go, don't really like him, left, and you've just dismissed a human being in a split second. And I think there's a real problem with that. So, we're actively trying to change that.
Wow.
I love this.
Derica, you got to ask him the first question. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, he kind of did such a good job at introducing it. So I'm going to ask a question, but what inspired you to start ISODATE? I feel like you're kind of an industry disruptor.
Ooh, yeah, so
we are. I do. Yeah. Thank you. I hope anyone's listening definitely picks up and runs with that. But yeah, we are one of the first in the market now for sure. I think in the next 10 years, you're going to see a lot of kind of video based options, or a lot more than currently exist. The reason we started ISODATE was because we just saw a gap in the market and something that needed to change. I used to work for Match.com as I think my role was a dating coordinations facilitator or something really strange. But long story short, I ran the in-person kind of speed dating events or just meeting events. And you'd have the same groups of guys and women there, and trying to find someone special to spend their life with and just enjoy. And it was so, I used to love the events. They were really good fun to do, but it wasn't really helping. You'd see a lot of the same faces, you'd experience a lot of the same problems. And it was always really funny because the in-person events are very intimidating for people, because if you're not a confident person, it's very hard, even if you're in a singles event as a guy, to go over to a woman.
Don't even get me started on those.
Yeah, exactly, from both ends. And what I always used to laugh at was that guys would come to these events, my events, and they come on their own. They'd turn up, they'd have a couple of beers. And then you see the women. Well, women hunt in packs. So
yes,
you bring your girl, you bring your girlfriends with you.
And you're guilty.
None of them are single.
Has a swarm of women around her.
Yeah, but they sit there, and the moment the male walks over, they're just like, we smell weakness and fear on you. And the guy's just like, no, and he's gone. He's scared. And so this is all the problem. So I thought, well, how do we address this? How do we get around this? And giving someone the platform to, hey, immediately meet someone face to face, no swiping, no weird, awkward messaging, just 3 or 4 minutes talking to that person and saying, right, tell me a little bit about yourself. Okay, cool. Oh, Luke, you play the trombone. That's unbelievable. Who plays the trombone anymore? Well, I do. And that's kind of cool. And then you finish the day and you go, you know what, maybe Luke wasn't really the type of guy I'd usually go for, but I actually really quite liked our conversation. I think there's a bit of depth to him maybe. And so you maybe give me the chance. Whereas before, if you were just swiping, you just wouldn't have, because the limited information you had on me and the pictures, maybe I didn't take great ones or whatever, and that's it, and it's gone. So, giving people that face-to-face interaction was something that I thought was really important. And how we foresee it growing is very different to where we are now. But I just think people need to start rehumanizing those connections again. So that's really how we got to the point that we're at now.
I love that, and it's more like evening the playing field. It's like separating each person so that they have the opportunity to present themselves, and you have the opportunity to receive that. So
for sure.
I'm all about it. I love it. This is great. I'm going to ask you another question. When you were developing the platform for ISODATE, did you get lots of feedback from your friends or peers about what they wanted in the platform or what they thought was important?
Yeah, really great question, Jennifer. So we obviously did a lot of customer feedback in the first couple of events, well, the first 40, 50 events. We still have a form sheet at the end that people can submit, and we read through and go through all that information. But the start was really just building the initial platform, the base level that we had, and just starting those events and doing them across the cities and the different preferences and stuff, and just really seeing what people were saying about, hey, what do you think of this option? If you gave it the go, would you see yourself transitioning? If they said no, why not? What can we do to improve the platform? What can we do to kind of change it? But the big thing we really found was that people were saying the same thing, and it wasn't just me or one or two other. It was like the rest of the people were saying the same thing. I'm not happy with the current state of dating. I don't take these apps seriously because I don't think anyone else takes them seriously.
Yeah.
And even in the paid profiles, like the JDates and the Match.coms, which grows hundreds of millions of dollars, that these make a lot of money. Again, it's kind of archaic, and for us right now,
I have something where I went on a few dates with someone and his mother paid for the JDate profile, so it's definitely not.
Oh gosh, I think I've done that too.
That is something that
or their grandmother is paying for.
No, honestly, it's a weird one, and you will unfortunately find people who maybe have a little bit of a strange relationship with the mother. I'm very close to my mother, but some people take it a little far. We ran an event for I think it was a modern Orthodox event, and I was doing some tech support with one of the women, and the guy couldn't see her or couldn't see her or hear her, but she could see and hear him. So because he didn't think anyone was there, he decided to basically just stop, and it turns out his mother was sat directly off camera watching every woman that he was going on a date with and making notes. So then he started to, and I just started going, wow, there is some unhealthy relationships in the world, but it you know what, that's for him to live his life, and I'm sure his mother will find someone.
Could be part of the reason why he's single. He's waiting for his mother to choose the right person for him.
I think so. Yeah, it could be a long one, that one. Yeah.
Wow. This is intense.
Yes.
That's so crazy.
It's mad, isn't it?
I know, I just can't even. I know we all have horror stories.
Up the wazoo.
Up the wazoo. So I'll go, Jen.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I love this. I love that you're a disruptor in this industry. But what separates you from the other dating platforms?
Great question. Thank you so much. So what separates us? Well, for one, it's got an English founder, 2 English founders actually. So that's a great thing. I know you North Americans love that accent. So
we do.
No, we do. We're already starting.
We don't care what you're saying.
I'm like,
yeah, we don't care what you're saying. Just keep talking. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I would never have had a girlfriend if I hadn't moved to North America and actually started speaking. They were just like, I don't know what you're saying, but I love it. I'm like, great, that works well here. But no, we what really separates us is kind of our focus on kind of the video first interactions is a big difference. The question that we get a lot, we're going through our initial raise round right now. So we're raising capital to help us kind of scale, and where ISODATE is right now is not where it's going to be in hopefully 4 or 5 months time. We have very, very big expansion plans, but obviously Derek, you work in the kind of tech world, the costs associated with these kind of things. So what realistically is a big question that we get is, well, what's different? Why couldn't, Tinder or JDate or something go and do? Honestly, it's building code. Someone else could build the code, but what we've put is thousands of hours into it. And the reason that people aren't, suddenly going to start video speed dating. JDate's not going to introduce it, is because the customers are habitual. So when you use an app in a certain way, if I was, let's say, the head of JDate or JSwipe, and I suddenly went, okay, we're totally changing the platform, we're making it video speed date, I'm going to lose probably more customers than I'm going to gain, because what I've done is I've gone against the brand mantra, and I've gone against, what we stand for as a platform or as an app. So I'm actually going to cast my audience away. Whereas what I'm trying to do is modernize. And what you'll actually find is when you look in the world of dating, there's actually a couple of companies that generally own everyone. They own a number of sidearms, Tinder and Bumble, and then JDate own JSwipe, and it's all owned by Spark Network, which it just keeps going up and up and up. And ultimately what they do is they're all about acquisition. So they want to bring companies under their realm rather than trying to do it themselves and fail and stuff. But really the big standout difference is the point I made earlier, the simplicity of not having to worry, finishing your day, going out, grabbing some food, coming back, grabbing a nice glass of wine or whatever you want, sat in your favorite seat, in your favorite position, relaxed in the comfort of your own home, and actually getting to meet people. And there will never be anything that replaces face-to-face interaction. What we're saying and what I'm saying is, let's keep that, but let's actually make it far more efficient and easy for you to do. Let's not have you having to get all dressed up and having to trek down into downtown Manhattan and spend $35 for an event that realistically you don't really
35.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was being
like
I was
75.
I was being conservative, and it's madness, because why spend that kind of money on someone you don't know you're gonna get on with? And this is the thing, and it's true, isn't it?
It's like we would, in the Upper West Side, when we all lived there and were single, we would go to these events. We had no idea who was going to show up. We just cast all our hopes and dreams in this one event. We got dressed up. We went together as a group, our lioness pack or whatever.
Absolutely.
And then inevitably we would stand in one corner and the men would stand in the other, and we'd be like, well, this is awkward.
Yeah.
Let's go home.
It's like being back at school, isn't it? I had a comedian I grew up with, who's one of my favorites, and he used to talk about 20 years ago when he was growing up, and he was a black guy growing up in a very white community in the UK, and he always used to make this great joke, and he used to have me in tears about school dances, and how he said it was literally like the plains of Africa. He said you'd have all the lads and you'd have all the women in the groups, and what the guys would do ultimately is look for the injured gazelle, the woman who was a little less confident, and they'd all go. And it was so funny too. But it's still this idea of how do I approach, and on a night out or in person or at a bar, and I think another side of this is, even pre-COVID, people have got a lot more defensive. I think that the walls are up a little bit more, and especially for women, let's call a spade here. There's been a number of issues with safety, and there's been a rise, unfortunately, in a significant rise in sexual assault cases on women on first and second dates, and this is deplorable. I have a friend who was unfortunately went through that, and when you hear these stories, when you hear these stories and you hear what women go through, no one should ever have to experience this. So you should have a safer alternative to date. You should be able to get to know someone without needing to actually go and meet them in a location. It is. And that's what we're saying. ISODATE is never going to replace real, and we don't want it to. What we want it to do is basically utilize the platform, make it a bit easier, save you a bunch of time, and actually help you filter through the weeds to get to the beautiful meadow, and actually not have to kiss all the frogs and to get to the prince. Hopefully less frogs, more prince.
I love it. How do you know? I'm always so fascinated when I see my friends swiping, and then I grab the phone and I go, who did you like and who did you not like? I'll be like, why did you like that person? And they'll say something, so because I would like everybody. I never dated in the swiping era, because I figure, how can you really know someone from a profile? I guess I would be really easy, because I would be like, yes.
Erica wanted to swipe yes on all of my match, and I was like, no.
It's dangerous to have. Yes, that's a dangerous friend to have, because it's like a child with candy, and it's just like, let's just go and let's see what happens.
Oh, but how do you know? So how do you know? I'm always like, from this way.
But okay, so
I would like everybody.
But if I flip that, if I
That's
flip that on its head, Derica, let's say you were doing that, right? And you were doing it. And I've just told you, 10% of the matches are for women. That's probably not true. I've seen female profiles compared to male profiles. And if you were swiping right, and let's say even conservatively, you managed in 100 swipes, you managed, let's say 10. There's your 10%, you managed 10. Do you know how hard it is to have 10 conversations with 10 individuals from scratch and have to ask them very similar questions and get to know them to a point where you then feel comfortable to meet them in person? Do you know what I mean? So if you swiped right on all of them and you had 60 matches, how are you then going to go through and filter and get to know? You can't do it. You just can't, because it takes so much time. And we are in a stage of existence where every person has something else going on. None of us just, work our 9 to 5 and come home to our families anymore. We have, you work a great job at a big company, but you also do this podcast. And I'm sure you have a ton of other hobbies and things that make you very unique to who you are. And that's the way that the world works now, that people are doing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things and want to do more, but they're like, time. So they don't want to be spending 10, 15, 20 hours a week swiping, dating, getting nowhere. And because, was it Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And it's true. And we see the concepts, we see the negative numbers, the statistics that argue that it's definitely in the wrong instance, but you need something new. And so we're trying to build that and say, well, there is something new. And video's weird. We said that about swiping on faces, and now something like 80, 90 or 100 million of you in America are doing it. So
I mean, with that brings me to my next question. Is I wanted to bring up the fact that I have been a participant in some of these speed dating events that you guys have done. That's why you're on our show, because I've been impressed with how ISODATE is run. And I wanted to make mention of the fact that you have some great partnerships with educators, dating experts, and individuals that are giving tips about dating. So it's not just everybody, here you go and date. It's like, how do you date smartly? So I just wanted you to briefly talk about, I believe Eliza Ben Shalom and Jessica Fast, they are giving some great tips about talking about the difference between deal breakers, wants and needs, and things that people really do need to think about before they start, jumping into the dating world, because you can date a million people, but never really narrow down on what you're looking for.
Yeah, no. So we had this kind of built into us from the get-go. And I as part of how do we differentiate ourselves and how do we deliver a service and a platform that is different, realistically, like truly different. And so as we kind of like built out a lot of the events that we're running now in the Jewish community, we're generally running about 15 events a month. We realized
that was 15 or 50?
15 at the moment. Yeah.
15 a month. Yeah. Okay.
50 hopefully by the end of the year, but 15
50 by okay. Wow. That's still a lot. That's a couple of weeks.
Yeah. We do a lot of events, but realistically, again, if you were just signing up for an event and just meeting people, we're not offering any true value. So what we ultimately do with the platform, we've got a bit of a two-level thing. So we run these events, but we also like to and really love to partner with different Jewish organizations, different Jewish matchmakers who've really hit on hard times in the last 12 months, not being able to facilitate their in-person, which is realistically 90% of their livelihood. And a lot of them have tried to transition to Zoom, and that's great. But if they have 50, 60, 70 people who don't know each other all staring at screens on a Zoom call, and then they have to, even if they have help trying to put people in breakout rooms and knowing it just gets really messy. So we've offered the platform, we say it to, if anyone is listening who is a matchmaker or a Jewish organization, we want to build good, solid relationships with these people and run these events that offer the community more. Now, Jessica Fass and Eliza Ben Shalom are just two great examples. They you know, Jessica Fast does wonderful work in the community. You know, there's a reason that she's built such a great career for herself as a matchmaker, because she cares for the people and she really offers a great service. And we've said from day one, ISODATE we're not trying to replace that person. We don't want to take Jessica's job, because we think Jessica is a vital step in the dating process. Or if not Jessica, you know, another matchmaker, you know, who might offer similar services. What we want to do is give you the platform to meet that group of people. And then once you've met those people, you go to the likes of Jessica and you go to these other matchmakers who then basically start to coach you and say, well, you know, why did you do that? What are you going to say when you meet them? Well, oh God, I wouldn't go. That's might be a bit too intense. And they coach you as we get coached in our lives, whether it's, you know, trying to kick at football or whether it's trying to learn Spanish. It's just all, how do we better ourselves? And that's what the matchmakers do. So for us, as we grow, like, we're really focusing on working on and growing these partnerships. And, you know, that, like, they make, you know, like we split the share, like, and we promote their services as well, because we want our customers to not just come to the events and meet loads of people. We want them to be able to message us in 3-4 months time and be like, hey, I had an amazing experience. And we've had a lot of customers that didn't think they'd enjoy it, sent me messages afterwards, have said, you know, I just want to say I had a great time. There's one particular woman who I've been talking to now for a while, and she joined a New York or a tri-state event that we ran. And she lives in the Chicago area, but has a lot of family and would be back and forth to New York a lot. And she kind of, when I was chatting to her, we ended up having like an hour-long phone call, just like she was telling me like what it was like. She's a 37-year-old Jewish woman. She said, honestly, Luke, I'd started to lose faith, and I just basically just accepted that it wasn't going to happen, which was so sad, because she was so lovely. You know, she was a nice looking woman, really cared about like herself and delivered a good kind of presentation of who she was. And she happened to meet this guy, and they got chatting and instantly just clicked. Well, next thing they were chatting, it was all going well. He drove to see her in Chicago in a snowstorm, like, and they've been together now 8 months. And I think she's in the process of moving to New York to obviously really make this happen. And it only takes one story to hear like that, and you go, right, we've made a difference, and we've actually brought happiness and potentially a strong Jewish family for the future. So like, for us, being different, being able to offer people, you know, the tutorials at the beginning and those links to those Jewish partners. And as we grow, we'll feature them within the platform. So ISODATE's platform will have those free click, you know, coaching sessions and stories and all kinds of elements that people will be able to just click on and view. And it could be little things like, you know, how do you present your body language? Like, where do you put your hands and where do you look and how do you smile?
We were going to ask that. That was one of our questions.
There you go.
That was one of the questions.
Yeah, well, that's a great segue to our next question.
Look at that.
Which is, what do you see as the potential turnoffs?
Well, having your mother at the side of the video, that's a big no-go.
Like behavior mistakes that people make, or like, what do you see people doing when you see these events?
I think going back to what I said about, you know, that Einstein quote of doing the same thing over and over and expecting things to end differently is a big one. And I think, and I'd say, and I've talked to customers that have done a number of our events, I've often rang some of them and said, hey, you know, I know you've done a couple of events with us now. How are you getting on? What's happening? So I want the ISODATE consumers and customers and community to feel that they can reach out to us. And I put my contact details down all the time. I've had many phone calls, and I think big no-goes realistically are not paying attention. You know, ultimately that webcam is the person, you know, so you have to imagine that I'm looking deep into Jennifer's beautiful eyes, and I want her to know that I'm paying her attention, and I want to compliment on the fact that she's not just captivating and beautiful, but she's also got a wonderful smile, and I think that she seems like a lovely person. And it's really not difficult. Dating is not difficult, but we get so nervous, you know, and that's not just people, that's myself included. Like I've done jobs over the years where I've presented in front of like 20-30,000 people. I've worked on live television and I've sold products, and I've done all kinds of stuff, and I still have got nervous going on first dates. And I'm starting to go, why? And it's because ultimately it's the biggest interview of your entire life.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is, I'm not asking for a 100,000 a year job with a couple of extra weeks of holiday. I'm asking for, you know, a 40, 50 year commitment with ups and downs that are going to be thrown in. So make sure you give a person your attention. Make sure you treat that webcam as if it was a person in front of you, and you look at them properly, and you give them your actual attention. And, you know, don't be going, oh yeah. Like there is nothing, there's no bigger turnoff for a woman, guys, if you're listening, or, you know, for anyone else. Like, do not under any circumstance be looking at your phone on a 3 or 4 minute video date. Take it, throw it away, and just focus on the person, because that's the only thing that matters. And just try and relax yourself. Like if you get a little nervous, pour yourself maybe a glass of wine, and also coming into, I'd also say, try and have a conversation starter. Try and know what you're going to say. If you're someone that isn't good on the spot, have pre-designated questions or pre-designated things to ask. Because if you get on the chat and go, hi Jennifer, it's nice to meet you, yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's a big put off. But I say, Jennifer, it's great to meet you, like, tell me about yourself. Do you like penguins? I don't know. I love like something light, like those icebreakers, and just be yourself. Realize that this is the truest form of you and the truest form of them, and you've got 3 or 4 minutes. At the end of the day, if you don't like them, or if they didn't like you, you're never going to have to see each other again. And there's no hard feelings. There's no, oh God, he didn't like. It's just, you met them, be yourself, and then the person that responds to that, that's the person that you want to spend time getting to know properly, and hopefully developing into a fully fledged and beautiful relationship.
I love this guy. Are you single?
I am, yeah.
How is he single?
I don't know.
I've never heard a man talk like this. Not even my husband would talk like this.
I know. No, it's I get a lot of comparisons.
Rare bird.
There's a dating coach called what's his name? Matthew Hussey. He's quite a famous.
Yes.
Yeah, and because of a British accent, I've had people go, "You're just like that guy," and I'm like, "Oh, don't say Matthew Hussey." Oh, okay, Matthew Hussey. But it's just, I don't know. I think being single as well, which is so funny when someone's like, "Oh, but you have a dating app." It's like, well, yeah, and so for me, I'm a great example of why things need to change, because I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty set in who I am and what I'm about, and yet I can't find, or I haven't found the right person. And I've never done well on dating apps, which has always been just so crazy to me, because the concept of conversation, I love. I've grown up in a family of talkers nonstop, like to the point where it's like, oh, please be quiet. And I love conversation. I think it's the most incredible thing that we can do. And yet I come to an app and I sat there, I'm like, right. And I get nervous. I'm like, well, I've got 40 other guys that she's matched with. How do I stand out in a message? How do I get her captivate her, get her attention? How do I differentiate myself? And I think I'll often panic, and I'll send too much, and girls have been like, oh, wow, that's a lot of messages. And or others have been like, well, you know, oh yeah, I'm fine in the conversation. I get really bored with basic conversation and not knowing what to say. So face to face for me, I love it, and I flourish in it. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, ladies, Luke is single, so if you
There you go.
need us to get in touch with him for you, let us know. We are happy to facilitate any matches as well.
We'll travel fully vaccinated. Can do it. Let's
vaccinated. Yes, that is one of the important things in the dating.
He's got all the shots, guys, ladies. He's got all the shots.
All the stuff, even the things that I didn't need. I was like, yeah, give me him. Let's go. Rabies. Let's go.
I think we're going to skip ahead because we have so many good questions, but I just want to make sure we touch on these last couple ones, and then we will wrap up. But I wanted to ask, do you think that the American culture in dating differs from the UK culture in dating? If so, because I know that you do a lot of these events across the world. You do North America, and you do Canada, and you know, the West Coast, East Coast, but you also do across the world as well. So I just wanted to know if you've noticed any difference, and because you're from the UK, you can speak to the fact of an American mentality versus, you know, a London or UK mentality.
Yeah, no, a great question. I think we have nuances, don't we, in cultures and societies, and I think, you know, even the difference between a Jewish dating experience and a Christian dating experience, or a Muslim, there's so many different arms of dating and how dating works and the terminologies and all these kind of things. So UK dating is very interesting. And what I will say is I feel that the UK somewhere down the line has been bred to still feel that we're part of this big British empire. And as a result, we have a certain expectation and a certain class that we think that we fit, which generally isn't true. We're not as attractive.
You think you're better than us, is what you're saying?
No, not at all. We know it. No. I genuinely do believe this. I from the dating experiences I've had in North America to the ones I've had in the UK, I think we are a little bit more opinionated. I feel that the UK sometimes feels like, I don't know, there's just a certain something in the air, and it's, I find with North American dating, you generally are a little bit more casual, and the conversations generally flow a little bit more easy. People aren't so, the stiff upper lip is a very famous British thing, isn't it? It's like, I could be on fire, but don't make a big deal of it. Like, I'll just sit down and just be on fire. Just
when you get a chance, can you throw your glass of lemonade on it? But after you're done with your conversation, I would not want to interrupt that. You're talking about politics right now. Absolutely. No, I just think that the nuances is a big difference. The UK is just different in how we act, but it's the same from the difference of an Israeli Jewish individual, as we've run a lot of Israeli events, to a New York Jewish person who has grown up in Brooklyn and doesn't really identify with a lot of the things that their Israeli counterpart might identify with, because although you share this commonality in the faith, it's very different if you've grown up in Tel Aviv than if you've grown up in Florida or New York. So it's just locational.
Actually, Tel Aviv is more like New York. I mean, more like,
that's
more like Florida. Actually, Tel Aviv is more like Florida.
Okay, there we go. I went to Tel Aviv a long time ago. I've not been there, and I need to get back. So, but no, I think it's a great question. But I think Jen, if you're getting bored of North America, jump on a plane. You do great in Europe. Yeah,
she's got
all the shots.
Yeah,
you've got the accent.
Paul, I'm going online to check out flights. Okay.
For sure, you got the accent straight away. It just gives you that step up.
Wow, Derek, I never knew that we potentially had a step up here. This is good.
Yeah.
Very good information.
We think you're very classy. You see, it might seem crazy, but I know it's like, oh, the British accent is like, but we find the same with the American. Like, we've idolized it. Remember growing up, we grew up in, and all we ever saw was New York, Manhattan, and the Big Apple and Friends. And it's like, what did you get from England? Like, not a whole lot. You watched everything American, so we digested the same content. So when I went over to North America for the first time, I went to America. I did a road trip when I was 21, 22, and I was just like a kid. I was like, this is amazing, because grass is greener. What's happening over here. You go over and you step foot in England, you start meeting guys, and you open up that mouth and have that wonderful accent, and oh, things are great. Oh my God, that's amazing. They'll be like, wow, she's awesome.
I love it. Derek, do you want to wrap
Jen,
it
you
up?
gotta move. You gotta move to England.
I know.
It's a lot though.
Let me look into the visa process, and I'll get back to all of you. But in the meantime, I'll look at flights. You never know.
That's it. Yeah.
Derek, why don't we wrap it up and you ask the last question, and then we will promote the heck out of you, Luke. So there we go.
Okay, this is amazing. So what do you have on the horizon for the platform? What's next? What's coming?
Ooh, this
that you can say, of course,
Yeah, nothing top secret, but just
harbor.
Well,
not really public.
Yeah, so we have a couple of big partnerships that we are excited to be running forward with in the next couple of months. I can't speak to a whole lot of them because they're still in legalities and stuff like that. But I will say next big step for us is kind of building out the platform in regards to fully app basis. Because right now it's a web basis, it's transactional in nature. And it's all, you can use any device, but you still have to access a website. Whereas, obviously we've all become so comfortable with apps. We have them pretty much ready to go. We just need a little bit of money just to inject the last bit and clean it up a bit. And so we hope to launch them in the next, by the end of the year at least, if not kind of by October time, September, October time. So yeah, that's kind of the next big steps. And then from there, building out the platform and building out the user interface. And what we want to start doing is bringing in those arms for, for these classroom sessions and these key learnings. And as you said, Jennifer, like offering people a little bit more than just, hey, meet people and try and awkwardly get to know them. Like, all right, let's merge all these great things, the matchmakers work, the wonderful work of many rabbis. Let's bring the platform and bring it under one commonality of uniting strong future Jewish relationships. And that's the important thing, is helping you find someone that, helping you find that bashert and that happiness. It's like finding
he used the Hebrew word, everybody. Basheret, soulmate.
There he is.
10 points.
There it is. I love that.
I feel like Jewish grandmothers who watch this are felling right now. The bubbies are felling.
I hope they are. I actually fell for a Jewish girl not too long ago. It didn't work out. She broke my heart, but we'll move on. It's okay. No, but yeah, that's a big thing. And then we obviously we have some big partnerships we're keen to release, and we're gonna start offering a lot more of kind of how the user interacts with the platform. So ultimately, what we'd like to do, we're aiming to have a big launch in New York first and foremost, because outside of Israel, that is actually the biggest group of Jewish people living across the world. It is in New York, and it makes sense. New York, or I should say the tri-state, really, New Jersey, New York, that's really the kind of, and then after that it would be probably Florida actually has the second biggest.
Miami,
yeah, I'm telling you.
Now, let me tell you. Everybody
moved
to Miami.
Yeah. So how much is this as if I wanted to be part of this?
Well, I pretend a married woman isn't saying that to me, but I'm sure you're asking just for information.
For all my friends.
For friends, yeah, of course.
For my friends.
Totally. So right now the events, as I said, are transactional. So it depends on what you want. Like how we will be running these in the future is that when we launch we'll be running these city-based events, which will be free to the user because we'll have the critical mass and we'll be able to offer it. We're going to have a brand activation. So we'll have brand partnerships and sponsorships. And then the user will be able to go to these free events and do it from the comfort of their home. 40 minutes, 45 minutes, they've had a brand experience, they've had dating, and they're done, But right now, and then if they want something a little bit more hyper-focused, they'll pay the premium and the add-ons. So right now we do a ticket-based platform, and our events range from anywhere from $15 to $30 per ticket, depending on, the type of event that you're going to. So we do a lot of events like we have coming up. We have New York and a New Jersey event. We have a Chicago event, an LA event. We have a modern Orthodox event. We have a tri-state modern Orthodox. We've run Ashkenazi events, Sephardic. Yeah, we've really gone down the rabbit hole of it because some people want that specific nature.
Very specific.
They do, and
we have a Jewish doctor, JD.
Jewish doctor. Everybody needs a Jewish doctor or a lawyer.
Jewish doctor.
And without speaking obviously on people's personal backgrounds, and it is quite interesting because we see, we see a bit about our customers and we learn. We have an awful lot of kind of very respected. We've had a lot of doctors, we've had plastic surgeons, we've had partners of major law firms, and I suppose it's the same with if you speak to matchmakers, they'll tell you the same thing. It's like the people who can afford their services, because some matchmakers, they're not cheap. You're not going to them because they're affordable. They're $20,000-$30,000. Some of the people I've spoken to, and I'm just wow, because they are really focusing on that individual and spending their time and really, and for a well-learned Jewish doctor who's gone into the world of plastic surgery and is making $600,000-$700,000 a year, $20,000 to find the love of their life is not really a lot of money. So it's a case of like really growing and really bringing something together that makes things better. So our focus for the next 6 months is really building out on what we've achieved right now and really building into new communities. So actively, if there's Jewish organizations listening to this or matchmakers, please get in touch. We love to kind of work with you and just help growing our community so that, the people can meet each other and we can connect more and more. And that's realistically what we're all trying to do. We're just trying to bring happiness, bring fulfillment, and bring, you know, more happy couples. And it's not to say that people can't be happy single. You know, I'm single, I'm not sad, but would I like someone to spend my life with? Yeah. And to get my mom off my back? Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's the bigger one. I want grandchildren. When are you going to have grandchildren?
And she's a midwife. She's a midwife. She delivers babies for a living, and she had 4 of us every day. And 3 of my best friends have had children. We saw them recently, and I'm sat there and I was sweating. I was just like, oh, is it hot in here? We're outside. I'm like, can't be. It's boiling.
Erica, I feel like Luke sounds like a big mensch, and
the big mensch.
Stop.
Huge mensch. You have the mensch award for the day from the Jewess, the blonde edition.
Wow. Not the day. The year.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
We just made it up. Sure.
I was gonna say the day's pretty not great. It's only 4 hours left of the day, so I wasn't too impressed with that one. But the year, okay. Now I'm impressed.
The year, Jen, not the day.
I know. And Luke, you have like you said, you have some big events coming up. I think you had mentioned that there's some big events coming up on, is it the 31st of the month?
Yeah, so we have a couple of big events on the end of the month, but we have a lot of kind of our hyper-focused events. We've launched a couple more for the month, so people can obviously check those out. If they want to see kind of the full range, they can just look at the website. It's ISODATE, ISODATE.co. And obviously, if they want to hit us up on any of the socials, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/ISODATE. Instagram is ISODATE_, because we had an account deleted for some strange reason. But there you go, the joys. But
love
yeah,
is never easy, Luke. You know, there's always obstacles in the way.
Exactly. Nothing like a major fight with a multi-billion-dollar corporation to really just enjoy the growth.
That sounds great. Luke, we're so excited that you were able to join us. We might be able to offer some discount codes through Jewess, the blonde edition.
I think we can definitely do that. We'd love to, we'd love to get your community on. And you know what? If one of your listeners came on and did one event and met the one person they were meant to be with, then I think that all of us can be happy. We've done another great service.
Absolutely.
Another mitzvah.
A big
mitzvah. A big mitzvah. And we
a
all
big
need
mitzvah. I love it.
Well, this was so exciting.
How is he single, Jen?
I don't know, Derica. This is for another episode. I don't know.
I know.
I don't know.
I love your approach to thinking about these things.
You got to think outside the box now, haven't you? You know, like times are different. Guys are getting bigger and better and smarter, and you know the competition around is better. So you have to evolve or die in the world of dating. It's, you know, you gotta hustle. You gotta hustle.
So true. Luke, thank you so much for joining us today. We loved having you. I
love being here.
We will definitely send out the information on all of our platforms. Jewess the Blonde Edition can be found on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Jewess the Blonde Edition. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, every single platform if you want.
All the good ones.
All the good ones. And we're so excited that you were able to join us today. We can't wait to bring some more information and exciting updates from ISODATE. So stay tuned and keep us updated, Luke.
Absolutely. And guys, you know, remember it's a marathon, not a sprint, dating. Just keep focused. Remember that every good conversation is a good conversation. And if it doesn't end somewhere, then the next one will do. And you just got to keep focused, keep moving forward. And if anyone has any questions, they want to know how they can work with us, or if they want to potentially run some events for maybe their little segment of their community, then, you know, we work with all these great partners, and we're always trying to build these relationships. So they can get in touch with me. I'm Luke at isodate.co. Please reach out, and I'm fairly friendly, so I'd always love the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke. We love you.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Great episode. With
you
that,
guys are great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are going to say Jewess is out.
We're just two girls living on the Upper West Side, taking everything in stride. We're the Jewesses, blonde edition, yeah.